So let's have a look at what it means to infer. So to infer means to come to a conclusion using evidence from the text. So usually the answer isn't written exactly word for word in the text, but you might have to use some keywords or a sentence and read around it to try and find the answer to the question that's being asked of you. So it's our job to be able to identify the keywords in the question and find them in the text. So sometimes there might be keywords that we can find in the text that's going to help us. Now, sometimes we have to read around that word to try and understand the text, and this is what we call reading between the lines. So we have to use that evidence to make an informed judgment or conclusion. So let me give you an example to show you how to understand it. So imagine someone comes and tells you their friend is crying. How might that person be feeling, and how do you know? So that person has come and said to you, my friend is crying. And you need to sit there and think, well, how do I know how that person might be feeling? She's not come and told me that my friend is doing something. She's just told me that they're crying, but they haven't told me why. So I need to try and work out, well, how do you know how that person might be feeling? So we have to think of some association. So if this was in the text, we would be looking for words that we would associate with crying. So let's have a think. Well, when you're crying, you're obviously sad, so you're not feeling very happy, and you might think to yourself, well, what am I doing if I'm crying? So obviously I've got my tears, something might have gone wrong, I might be hurt, but we associate crying with feeling upset. We could be upset, we could be worried, we might be a little bit nervous, it might be a case of that we're injured and that we're in pain. So it's all about associating different words and vocabulary in your general knowledge to help read around the subject. Okay, so let's have a look at some question examples and put it into more of a context for you. So here you can see 3 different styles of questions that are used to ask the reader to infer information using the text. So for example, this question here, what impressions do you get of Piper's house? So you need to give 2 impressions. So those impressions are going to be your opinion. As a reader, having read that text, what are your impressions of that character's house? But you then need to back that up with evidence, okay? So you might say, well, Piper's house is not a very nice place to be in. And you might need to think to yourself, well, how do I know her place isn't a very nice place to be in? You might find evidence in the text that says it's messy, maybe it's dirty, maybe it hasn't been cleaned, maybe it's full of rubbish, maybe it's got holes, maybe it's got damp, maybe there's a leak. So you'd be finding evidence to support that opinion. Here for question 3, sometimes you might be given a word. Now, when the word is in italics, so when it's slightly slanted to one direction, that means that that word is in the text. That's usually a word that's been taken straight from the text. So here it says, look at page 1. So it tells you where you need to find this word and where you're going to find the evidence to support your answer. Why is the boy huddled in the doorway while he waits for Piper to open the door? So you will need to think, well, the question is asking why. So I have to give a reason. And the key word that it's looking for is huddled. So I need to find that keyword huddled in the text. And I'm going to read that entire sentence. Now, if that sentence doesn't give me the answer as to why he's huddled up in the doorway, we might need to read the sentences before and after to gain a better idea of why the boy might be huddling. And then we have a look at number 3. Now, the third one, number 4. This one is a very specific question because it actually tells you exactly what you need to do. So you need to find, so you need to look in the text and copy one word. Now, this is one question that everybody falters on because they'll copy more than one word. They might copy a group of words when they're told to only copy one, or they might be asked to copy a group of words and only copy one, or write an entire sentence. And even if you still get the word in that sentence, you still lose the marks. It's important to read it. So when it's in bold, those are the instructions that tells you what the question wants to know. And it says, find and copy one word which shows that Joe is angry. So this is where our synonym skills come into. So we need to think of another word that we could fill that sentence. So find and copy one word that shows that Joe is angry. So I need to be thinking of words that mean angry. So he could be cross, he could be frustrated, he could be agitated, he could be doing something angry. You might even find that word, but the answer requires you only to copy one word. So those are just some examples of different types of questions that might be used when you are looking to infer information. So let's do one together. Now I'm going to move my face so you can see the text. So look at page 10. So you're going to need to put page 10 in front of you. Find and copy a group of words that suggest Sorrel is struggling to breathe. So your first thing you need to do is, well, I need to underline any keywords in that question to work out what it is I need to do and what my answer must include. So my question says find and copy. So I have to copy. I'm not making up a word. I'm not doing this based on my judgment. I'm not picking a word out of thin air. It has to be a word that is in the book on page 10. So I have to copy a word. Now it says I have to copy a group of words. So this means that it's got to be more than one word, but it can't be an entire sentence. So I might be looking for 2 or 3 words that's going to help me. Now it says that suggests that sorrel, so we're looking for some information about sorrel. So we have a character name that we need to be looking for. And we are looking for some information that's going to be suggesting that she's struggling to breathe. So I'm looking for words that are going to be associated with breathing. Okay, so I'm going to look on page 10, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for some information that mentions the character sorrel. Now I can see here that sorrel is mentioned at the top of this paragraph. Now I know, because it's something that she's suggesting she's struggling to breathe, I can see all the way through this paragraph, this entire section here is a full load of speech. So I know that she's got a lot to say as her character before she has a pause. So if I skip and I move all the way to the end of that speech, I know that's a big sentence that she's had to say, or rather lots of sentences she's had to say. So I'm then going to read the following sentence that goes on from that. Sorrel was practically gasping for air. Now, it mentions there we're looking for words that suggest she's struggling to breathe. So I'm thinking, well, what words can I associate with breathe? So I'm looking for breathing. I could be looking for air. I could be looking for oxygen. It could be that you're taking deep breaths. It could even be something biological. So we're talking about lungs. Could be talking about our nose and our mouth. So looking at this sentence, what word in that sentence can I associate with the word breathing? Are there any words in that sentence? Am I going to have to read further on? So if I have a look at that, it says that she was gasping for air. Now I know that air is something that we breathe in, okay? And obviously we know we breathe in carbon dioxide and oxygen, and we give off the rest of that carbon dioxide, but altogether we're breathing in air. So I know that we're associating that with air, but my question specifically says that she's struggling to breathe. So I'm looking for another word that's going to suggest she's struggling, so something that's going to prove that her breathing is actually becoming difficult. And if I have a look there, it says gasping for air. Okay, so when you're gasping, it's when you're really struggling to try and breathe and you're taking such a big deep of breath in, or a deep breath of air into your lungs. Now, I'm just going to go back to my question because it says find and copy a group of words. Now, I've highlighted the sentence, sorrel was practically gasping for air. Now, I know, looking at my question, I cannot write that whole sentence down. And you're thinking to yourself, well, why not? Well, my question says it has to be a group of words. And it only needs to be relevant to the part about her struggling to breathe. So my answer I'm going to write there is gasping for air. So find and copy one word which shows that, or find and copy a group of words that suggest sorrel is struggling to breathe. So all I would write is gasping for air. I don't need to write a full sentence. I also don't need to copy the sentence. So just that little chunk of words, okay? So now it's your turn to have a go. You're going to do a question that is similar to this one. So why is the boy huddled in the doorway whilst he waits for Piper? So have a look at page 13. I've written the quote here, or put the picture of the quote at the bottom for you as well. Sorrel hunched her head between her shoulders, shivering. So my question to you is, why was she shivering? So you need to think to yourself, well, what keywords do I need to know in that sentence? So I'm looking for some information about sorrel. So again, I'm looking for my character, but I'm also specifically looking for that sentence. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, how do I know I'm looking for that sentence? Well, if you remember from before, I said that anything that is written in italics, so words that are written slightly slanted, is going to be an exact quote from the book. So you need to find that exact quote and that word. Now, you might not find the answer in that sentence, so you might need to read the following sentence to see if that gives you a clue. If not, you might need to read the sentence before to see if that gives you a clue. So have a go. Okay, so if I have a look at the bottom, sorrel hunched her head between her shoulders, shivering. So this is the word I'm looking for, and I need a reason why she's shivering. So I'm going to read the next sentence. Oh, thanks a million, she whispered to Firedrake. Now, if I carry on reading that, there's no indication as to why she might be shivering. So I might need to go back and have a read of some sentences before. So this is the sentence before. All was perfectly still again. Drizzling rain as fine as dust fell from the sky. Now, I already know, having read the previous pages to chapter 2, that it's night time. We've all gathered at night time outside the Dragon's Cave. So I know it's already nighttime, and we know from our science lessons that when it's nighttime, obviously we don't have the sun, so we don't have that additional heat. So we know it's going to be a little bit colder at nighttime because we don't have the sun to be keeping us warm. So we need to go back to the question. So why was she shivering? Well, it says here in the text that it was drizzling with rain. So I need to think, if I'm outside and it's cold at night, I'm a little bit chilly already. But if I add rain to that, what's that going to do to me? So adding rain when you are cold makes your clothes wet and it makes your clothes damp, because there's no heat to evaporate it. It actually cools down your body temperature, so it makes you colder. Okay, so to answer that question, Sorrel was shivering because it was nighttime and it was raining. So that is going to give me the answer. So you've noticed that the answer wasn't in the first sentence that was given to us. And when I read on, it didn't give me any additional information. So I had to read the information before. But I also needed to know my general knowledge of the chapter so far to understand a little bit more why she might have been shivering. Okay. So your task for today, now I haven't put the questions up on the slide just because they don't fit, but you will have the questions in front of you at home. Now it's your turn to have a go answering some of these influence questions, but they will be based on what we've read in chapter 2 so far. So you will need pages 6 to 13. So we did some of the pages yesterday and some of the pages today. So you will need all of those pages to be able to help you. Now, each question will be related to a specific page, so you don't have to read the whole of the chapter to find the answer. I will indicate to you which page you need to be looking for. However, you need to remember to underline any keywords in the questions. So as I've modelled to you, I've gone through and I've highlighted, well, who am I looking for? What keyword might I be looking for? And what is the question asking me? Do I need to write a response? Am I finding and copying a word? Do I have to find quotes from the text? Do I have to give an opinion? You need to have a sit and think about what the question is asking you. And just as we've done in the question before, if you do not find the answer in the sentence you are looking at, you must remember that you need to read between the lines. So you may need to read the information before and after to give you a bigger picture of what might be happening. You also might need to use your knowledge of the chapter so far as well, because that will help you understand the characters of what's going on and their feelings and emotions. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to write in full sentences, okay, because it's the inference questions. You need to make sure that you are answering the questions the way the question wants you to, okay? So I'd like to have a go at doing those questions, and I'm also going to send to you the last few pages of the book as well. So I'd like you to read the last few pages so you have the entire chapter 2 at home, and then what we will do is we will start with chapter 3 on Monday. Okay, good luck, year 5.